Welcome back to another episode of Caps Off by the Game Day. It is fantasy look ahead day, fantasy let's make a trade day, fantasy who are you selling away day. It is the day.
Fantasy Dallas Cowboys day.
Yeah. All right.
There's my favorite day of the week, man.
I did make a trade this morning. So yeah, this is my favorite day of the week. Yeah.
Very nice. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah. So I basically sold all of my assets away.
Everybody.
Everything. I basically sold Raheem Mostert. Last week I sold Raheem Mostert, Cooper Kupp, Romeo Dobbs, and Brandon Ayuk for Tyreek Hill, Christian Watson, George Kittle.
Interesting.
So obviously I had Devon Achane. And I was like, you know what? I don't have great running backs, but Achane will carry me. I'll just stack my wide receivers in a 2-flex league. Now, my wide receivers were great, right? I had Stephon Diggs, Tyreek Hill, Calvin Ridley.
Loaded.
Brandon Ayuk was there, obviously, but like now I had Christian Watson.
Yeah.
Achane goes down.
Yeah, it's unfortunate.
Now my running backs were Damian Pierce, Javonte Williams, and Achane on IR. And I had Thielen, Zay Flowers on my bench. So I said, you know what? I'm not very excited about having to make this trade. I love Thielen, but I'm going to go out and just try and find a running back. And that running back I went with was Aaron Jones. So I traded Thielen and Zay Flowers, even though I paid a little bit more than I would have liked for Aaron Jones and Jerry Jeudy, hoping that Jeudy gets traded.
Well, reports are that he will get traded.
He will get traded.
Or at least they'll try to shop him. I would like to see him finally get an opportunity to produce as a number one wide receiver. I think he has that ability. Like I'm not saying we're off that conversation now where it's like CD's not the number one receiver. So if he's not, Jerry Jeudy's definitely not. But just from the aspect of being the best receiver on a football team, Jerry Jeudy can be that guy in the right situation. I was high on him in the offseason. I thought they would finally use him right with Sean Payton. Clearly not. That team is terrible. But Jerry Jeudy could be a nice, valuable asset going forward.
I totally agree. Jerry Jeudy's going to be a guy that obviously I would want to talk about with you in terms of someone to potentially buy low for really, really cheap. But before we get into any trade questions, obviously, if you're watching on YouTube, on Twitter, on TikTok, anywhere, make sure to submit your fantasy trade questions below. We're going to do our best to evaluate them, answer them, who you can go after, who you can trade away. So make sure to submit those questions below. I see them all. And then go to thegameday.com/promotions. If you want any betting offers, DFS offers, if you're into that, make sure to go to thegameday.com. You're going to find all of the best ones. I can assure you that. Let's talk Jerry Jeudy, though. Jerry Jeudy is a guy that is being floated in some trade talks right now. They said that they're likely going to move him before the deadline. The Colts are one of those teams interested. What are your thoughts on Jerry Jeudy potentially going to the Indianapolis Colts?
I like it better with Minshew. I mean, Richardson just got put on IR, I believe. Yeah. He's gone for the next 4 weeks, I think, if I'm not mistaken. So the one thing that you saw when Minshew came in at quarterback is an uptick in wide receiver production. Because he's more of a pocket passer. I mean, he's way different from Anthony Richardson.
Right.
So then you look at guys like Josh Downs. I mean, Pittman's been having a good year, but particularly a guy like Josh Downs, who's a smaller receiver, route runner, you need a quarterback to be able to fit in passes to him. And he was doing well with Richardson, but doing even better with Minshew. So if Jerry Jeudy goes to a place like that, we know Judy's a great route runner. That's one thing he hangs his hat on. He also can get down the field. Minshew can sling it. I like it. I like his placement in Indy. I don't like it because I have Josh Downs, so that might hurt me a little bit, but I'm not even starting him anyway. So I like Jeudy in Indy. I think there's a couple other places. I'd have to go through a list of teams, and maybe I'd do that. But I think there's some other places that they could use him as well. But Indy's a good place.
Yeah, I think, when I look at the Jerry Jeudy situation, if you need a wide receiver and you're trying to trade with a guy that has Jerry Jeudy on their team, see if they'll just throw Jeudy in there because the targets have been better. They've been ramping up his production, his usage a lot more. Obviously, if he does get traded, anything feels like it's better than Denver right now. It's always been troublesome with Cortland Sutton. Obviously, they drafted Marvin Mims. So the two ways I'd look at it is I'd try and get Marvin Mims, or if he's on the wire, I would definitely pick up Marvin Mims. Yeah. Tonight could be his blow-up game against Kansas City on prime time. So definitely look out for that. On the other side, Jerry Jeudy is someone that I believe over weeks 12 through 18 last year, I saw a stat. He averaged 18.7 fantasy points per game with Russell Wilson. The talent's always been there with Jeudy. The opportunity has been bad. So bet on the talent always. I'd like to take my chances on talent. Too. And he's super young. It's his 4th year. So, yeah, make sure to look out for Jerry Jeudy. He's a guy that definitely could get traded ahead of the deadline. I believe the deadline's in a couple of weeks. Yep. I do see Burner account on TikTok. He asked, do you think Ramondre Stevenson is having a good bounce back week? Patriots, Raiders, I believe it is.
You better.
Yeah, I mean, look.
I hope so.
I think, yeah, it's the whole – here's what we've said on many episodes is that I would be nervous if I have a guy in fantasy and you're winning games and the offense has been good. The part where I don't necessarily freak out about is if the offense has been bad, if you're losing games and your player is also not playing well, then something is going to change, right?
Yeah.
So let's look at like a CeeDee Lamb, for example. I see CeeDee Lamb a lot of times right now being floated in some trade talks. Just get him off your team, maybe sell based off of the value. I'm kind of going the opposite route. I want to buy low on CeeDee Lamb and I want to buy low on Tony Pollard. The offense has been abysmal. As you've mentioned, CeeDee Lamb has had 15 targets over the last 3 games. He's somewhat in that contract year, right? Where you're either going to pay him or you're not. And also what we've seen is that when a player complains about targets, they are going to get fed the following week. Prime time, I expect the Cowboys offense to look completely different. So I'm buying CeeDee Lamb. I think you can get CeeDee Lamb fairly cheap, and he is still that low end wide receiver one. He hasn't produced as much, but he will always have a safe floor, and the ceiling he hasn't even scratched this year. So bringing that back to Ramondre, I think Ramondre is going to bounce back.
Absolutely,
the talent's there.
He has to. They have to turn it around. Like, this Patriots organization doesn't like losing. They're not used to losing. This is fucking weird in our lifetime, seeing what's going on with them right now. But one thing you can't bank on when you are losing and you just don't have talent like that is your guys that are talented. Like, we need to give them the ball. And Ramondre is one of their only guys. Like, I don't know who else are you getting the ball to over there? I mean, I know was it Kendrick Bourne that's over there? That was having like a decent first couple weeks. Well, they've been losing. They've been terrible. They've been getting worse. And part of the reason we thought they would be okay this year is because of Ramondre Stevenson. They have to go back to that, similar to what you said with the Cowboys and Tony Pollard and CeeDee Lamb. They have to get back to that. And so, I'm a lot higher on Ramondre going forward than probably a lot of people, just because like we can bank on what we've seen before.
Totally. And I think also like the running backs, it's a fucking crapshoot. We've said this so many week in and week out, right? There's only maybe 5 running backs that you can trade or you could trust in fantasy. So you got to fill out those last 7 names, right? Like in terms of being RB1s. Ramondre's a guy that can be that low-end RB1. The usage can be there. The offense is going to have better days. So to answer your question, yes, I do think Ramondre is going to have a bounce-back week. User, a bunch of numbers on TikTok also said, should I trade Kyren Williams, who's on my bench, and DJ Moore for AJ Brown and Ridley? Quickly, I wouldn't trade Kyren just given the landscape of running backs. I would try and trade DJ Moore. I think DJ Moore can be a wide receiver 1 in fantasy. But you're not going to get him to be the wide receiver 3, I think is what he is, or something consistently. So I'm definitely selling high on DJ Moore. If I can get AJ Brown for him, if I can get Ridley and another wide receiver for him, because I do think this might be the last week you can buy low on Ridley, I'm doing that. What about you?
I mean, if you got more depth at running, I'm assuming you have depth at running back to make that trade, get rid of Kyren Williams and go for 2 receivers, right? 2 receivers in return. So I'm assuming you have depth just based off of what you would be getting back in return. If so, then I don't mind that. Like, if you have another running back that you could spell in on different weeks. But if Kyren Williams is that guy, we just saw you make a trade last week because you were banking on HN being that guy, and then he gets hurt. Now it's like, now you got to make another trade. So it's good to have depth, especially at running back, especially in this running back landscape. If you do have depth outside of Kyren Williams, make the trade. Go ahead, make your receiver unit better. If not, then hold on to it. I don't think you need those guys that bad.
I agree. A lot of start-sit questions coming in. As a reminder, we will be going live tonight at 5 p.m. To do start-sit questions. So make sure to tune into that. Every start-sit question you have will be answered by yours truly.
Too.
Those are by far the best. Let's see. Picked up Aaron Jones off of waivers. That's crazy. I have Jonathan Taylor, Austin Eckler, Breece Hall, Raheem Mostert. Who can I trade for a solid wide receiver? Look, I'm going to be honest, Jerry. I would find Tyreek. Depending on your record, I'd find Jettis. I'd find Jamar. I'd find Stephon Diggs and say, pick your fucking running back and give me this fucking wide receiver. You have every running back possible you'd maybe want in fantasy.
Running backs.
Yeah. You're not going to get a 1-for-1. But, like, if it's Austin Eckler for fucking Stephon Diggs or Austin Eckler in a shit piece for Stephon Diggs, I'm going to do that because I still have Jonathan Taylor, who I think is going to have bounce backs. Breece Hall and Raheem Mostert. TTV said on YouTube, was my trade a steal? I got Travis Kelce and Puka Nacua for Derrick Henry and Jacoby Myers.
I got Kelce and Puka for Derrick Henry and Jacoby Myers.
Jacoby's been great. Don't get me wrong. Yeah. But be honest, I hope you have running backs, but that's a great
I love
deal.
it, bro. I mean, Derrick Henry, we talked a bit about it on Tuesday when we were kind of recapping this past week. Tajay Spears looks great. And Derrick Henry at this point in his career, he can still be that touchdown guy, but he's not going to be that workhorse that's getting 200 plus every single week. Yo, Kondo, why'd you shrink that? Thank you. Nice. Okay. No, so getting rid of Derrick Henry, Jacoby Myers. Come on, bro. I don't give a fuck about that. The fact that you get Kelsey and Puka, fire, bro. Puka's gonna be putting in work every single week. We already saw that he's not gonna be that poorly affected by having cutback. And Kelsey's, come on, man. The positional advantage that you can have when you have a guy like Kelsey is just different. That's easy. You won that easily.
Alex Bermudez on YouTube said, I traded Gabe Davis and Brian Robinson for Amon-Ra St. Brown. Good or bad trade? I'm fine with it. I think Amon-Ra is another person that has a super safe floor. Gabe Davis has always been the epitome of a boomer bust. Brian Robinson's cool, hot start has definitely cooled off. I hope you have other running backs, but I definitely prefer, you got the best player in that deal.
Agreed.
So that to me, that's a no-brainer. Yeah.
I like
Speak Up KJ on YouTube also said, James Conner and Justin Jefferson on IR for me. I'm sitting at 5-0, but I have zero depth.
Ooh.
What do I do?
Nice.
It's
I like 5-0 is nice.
5-0 is nice. It's a tough position to be in. I think it's not necessarily the panic button, right? So like if it was flipped and you were 5-0 and you didn't have Jettis, I would be trying to trade I would try and get Jettis. There is obviously the concern there, but you're swinging for the fences. It depends, right? Like if I'm you, there's not really much you can do because they're not going to have tremendous value. You could maybe flip a Justin Jefferson if you really want a wide receiver to play right now for guys like Nico Collins, Puka Nacua, Devontae Smith, potentially some lower end guys, but yeah. I'm not crazy about it.
I mean, let's talk about some of the guys that we said are being undervalued. One guy in particular, CeeDee Lamb, where if you can get a guy like, now you got to get depth, right? Because that's what you want. You want depth. So you giving away a guy like Justin Jefferson who has a crazy high ceiling. You want to get another guy that's probably a top 12, top 10 to 12 receiver. And then you want more depth to go along with that. I don't know if you need more running backs, receivers, probably need both. If you can get a guy like CD who's going to be value low right now, you can get another guy that is value, it really hasn't capped out, then like that's probably something I'd be looking at.
Yeah, let's look at like in terms of big buy low candidates, I would look at from the running backs, Pollard, Bijan, ETN obviously blew up, so you can't. Those two would probably be the biggest running backs, maybe Eckler, but I just don't see someone trading them. There's a higher chance for Pollard or Bijan to get moved if you're involving Jettis. And then from like the wide receivers, I don't think there's many wide receivers you could truly buy low on, maybe outside of Ridley that can push for that top 12 spot.
Yeah.
What else? Like I'm trying to think of some other guys that you could really buy. Ayuk still a buy. You could look for lower end guys like Zay Flowers is going to pop. Judy's a decent example of someone that you can get for really low.
You mentioned Devontae Smith coming off a bad week. He's not going to have another week like that. 1.6 points, like one target. No, he's going to be way better than that. He was a top 10 receiver before this past week. Guys like that, like get that guy, get more depth alongside with it. They can finish many weeks better than Jefferson, and you get more pieces with it. It's definitely a depth play for you at this point.
Totally. Also, if you are watching on YouTube, make sure to hit that subscribe button. All right, we do a lot of our episodes mainly on YouTube, so check that out. And if you're on TikTok right now, go to subscribe to our YouTube page. The link is in our bio. Let's see. Should I trade Kyron Williams and DJ Moore for AJ Brown and Ridley? Kyron's on my bench. We did that one. Yeah, it's on TikTok and YouTube. So shout out for being on both. Besides Sam Laporta, Travis Kelce, and Mark Andrews, are there any tight ends worth trying to pick up or trade for? I have Waller, and he's done nothing.
Yeah, dude, that's tough, man. Hey, the tight end landscape is so difficult. There's a few guys out there you could probably – I don't know if there's anybody that you can rely on necessarily on a week-to-week basis that's going to be better than, like, relying on Waller. Waller's coming off his best week, I believe. I don't know what he finished
But he's not going to play this week.
Oh, but he's not playing this week? Man, I have to look. What do you have?
So, out of the gate –
Dalton Schultz had a good week last week.
Schultz had a good
Evan
week.
Ingram has been pretty good week over week.
Johnny Smith is a weird one because we know that Arthur Smith hates Kyle Pitts, and Johnny Smith has always been a yak type of guy. So he's an interesting one. David Njoku is also another sneaky one. Luke Musgrave, think about it. Someone might drop him on the wire because he's on a bye this week. So scroll to the 0.0 point section and see if he's down there. And then it's hard to buy coming off of a major performance. But George Kittle, I would wait for him to probably have a bad week. And the reason I say George Kittle might be the only other tight end to target is because George Kittle is one of, I think, 2 to 3 players outside of Mark Andrews and Travis Kelce that could go for 30 on any given Sunday. So with the tight end landscape, I'd rather ride out, if I don't have any of those top 3 guys, the boomer bust, kind of mentality. And therefore, I'm going to try and trade for George Kittle. Did we lose the screen? Oh, wait. Oh, no, that's the chair. Here's another one. Let's look at a TikTok comment. Should I trade Puka Nacua for Tony Pollard?
Puka Nacua.
It depends.
Tony
Context.
Pollard. It depends what you need. I think, I mean, at this point, Puka's providing a safer floor for you. But like we said, we both think that Pollard is gonna start seeing uptick. He's naturally has to. I mean, he had 29 yards rushing last week against against the best defense in the league. He's gonna get better. That offense has to start flowing. They have to do things differently. They're losing right now. They lost to the Cardinals. They lost to the Niners, and these guys aren't playing well. So it's one of those things where it's like, all right, you want to start winning? Let's get our best players more involved. Pollard will be one of those guys. I think his ceiling is higher than Puka, and it might be quite a bit higher than Puka's because he still hasn't had a multi-touchdown game. He's barely scored. He's gonna have multiple 100-yard games. So I would look at it from the standpoint of like, what do you need? Running backs, receivers. If you need running backs and you're okay at receiver, then Pollard would be a great get, especially a buy low candidate right now.
Here's a dynasty question for you. Would you trade Brandon Ayuk in a 2024 late first round pick for CeeDee Lamb?
Oh, okay. Hey, so at this point, your confidence going to be a late first round pick. That could change though, because I guess you're doing pretty well in your league. Just keep that in mind. And you're not for sure it's going to be a late first round pick. But Brandon Ayuk and that pick for CeeDee Lamb. Yeah, look, CeeDee's at his floor right now, and he's still getting you 10 to 15 at his floor. At his ceiling, he's getting you 25 plus. We know that. He's in dynasty rankings before the season started. CeeDee was, and I think consensus like wide receiver 4. You had only like Jefferson, Jamar Chase, and maybe AJ Brown. I know a lot of people had CeeDee. So think about it, man. He's like 24, 25 years old. He's got his whole career ahead of him. The Cowboys offense has to get better. And so, and Brandon Ayuk, I think like we're finally seeing a breakout year from him, but I don't know what the long-term play there is for him. We know that CeeDee is wide receiver 4, wide receiver 3, wide receiver 4 when it comes to dynasty. I would potentially look at doing it. You might be giving up a lot with the first round pick too, but late first round picks, you literally don't know what they are. So it's a good trade because I'm leaning. I don't know which way to lean. If you really want that big name player, I'd do it. If not, then rely on Brandon Ayuk. He's giving you wide receiver 2, wide receiver 1 numbers a lot of weeks, and keep that late first round pick.
What do I do for my RB2 spot? This is from Jacob on YouTube. He had James Conner, but now his options are Amari DeMarcado or Javonte Williams. That's the running back, obviously in Arizona. Look, I have Javonte as well, right? Caleb McLaughlin, I believe is his name, is a guy that I don't know what's going to happen because he's looked like the most explosive back in Denver. I think I still I would probably start DeMarcado only because I just don't know what the hell Javonte, McLaughlin, and Samaje Perine are going to bring. So I just think there might be a safer floor with DeMarcado just because he did look pretty decent. So I'd probably start there. But look, let's limit expectations tremendously. What are your thoughts?
Same. Nothing to add.
Let's see. We got another one. Cup for Bijan Robinson or Joe Burrow in a super flex, or Cup for CeeDee Lamb and Breece Hall. This is from Andrew Vay on YouTube. Okay. He said, I'm in desperate need for an RB, and I have Justin Fields and Josh Dobbs currently.
Oh man. I wouldn't be desperate to go get Burrow. Like, I know he had a big week this past week, and I think he's going to trend in the right direction, but we've seen so much bad from him and that Bengals offense this year already. That's not somebody I would be desperate to trade for, especially when you already have Fields and Dobbs. You're talking about a super flex league. Both those guys are balling. Fields is on the way up. Dobbs is having a really good year, reminding me of Geno Smith. Kind of go back up because I was trying to see the rest of the guy. Oh, it's right there. All right. So Cup for Bijan or Burrow. I mean, yeah, get Bijan if you want. I like that 1 for 1. If you're desperate for RB, yeah, that's what I would do. Get Bijan or Cup for CD and Breece. I would do that over Cup for Bijan.
Yep.
Get both of those guys. See, we replace Cup with CD. In my opinion, similar ceiling. Cup has a safer floor, but similar ceiling. And then you also add in Breece, who honestly might finish the season ahead of Bijan the way he's pacing. I like that.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I agree with everything you said. Someone on TikTok said, trade Raheem Mostert and Puka Nacua for Bijan and CD. Will they accept? Their team is 1-4.
What was it?
Trade Raheem Mostert and Puka Nacua for Bijan and CD. Will they accept? Their team is 1-4. I mean, look, I can't get in the mind of him.
Yeah, right.
I will say, though, Raheem Mostert is a very interesting sell-high candidate. I understand.
Yes, especially right now, like the first week with
the perceived value. Yeah, so like Jeff Wilson's going to come off IR. A very, very, very sleeping giant in that situation is Chris Brooks. He obviously people are going to look at Salvin Ahmed, but Chris Brooks was kind of like the RB4, RB5. He looked really, really good in preseason. So I don't think, don't get me wrong, I think Raheem Mostert is still going to be that RB2 that high end RB2, low end RB1, just based off of I don't think the usage is going to be there of an RB1, but I do think Raheem Mostert is a sell high. If I can get Bijan and CeeDee Lamb from Raheem Mostert and Puka Nacua, I'm doing that.
Sweet. I agree. I like this one here. Should I either start Rice? You know why I like it because that's my guy, Rashid Rice.
Shout
right
out
there.
Texas.
Should I either start Rice at flex tonight or hope Saquon comes back because I'll only have Komet and Dell left? I'm confused where the Komet. Oh, that's who
he's
you'll
gonna put
have
him at flex. Yeah.
Oh, at flex. Well, how did Tank Dell do this past week?
He got hurt. It's concussion protocol.
Well, look, Rice at flex. I mean, the Broncos defense is terrible. Rashid Rice is looking like he is that number one guy outside of Travis Kelce for the Chiefs. He just had a big week. We just also on the Tuesday episode that came out the Wednesday episode, we talked about the top 15 PFF wide receivers, which is just is this guy talented or not? Essentially, is he doing what he should do? Rashid Rice was in the top 15 actually, which is pretty good for a guy like Andy Reid. Patrick Mahomes are going to want to give him that ball. I like Rice here. If you don't want to risk it waiting on Saquon, then I like Rice.
Yeah, I mean, look, Saquon obviously has the highest ceiling out of any of those guys, but there's also a part of the bias of fantasy where you get to start someone on primetime just so you have extra incentive to watch. So just for the sake of being able to start Rashid Rice and watching, I'm in. This is an interesting one. Joseph on TikTok said, just because I'm going to end it right here, trade Amon-Ra St. Brown for George Kittle and Mike Williams. Look, Mike Williams is done for the year. I'm not. You can't do that.
He's done for the year?
Yeah.
So come on, bro. You got to do your research before you bring your questions here. Come on, buddy.
What's another good question? I trade Gabe Davis and Joe Mixon for Amon-Ra and Mostert. Good call. Yeah, I would love that. I don't think he accepts that personally. Let's see. I have Chris Olave. This is from TJ on TikTok. Shout out to 100 people on TikTok. For the 100 people that are here, go to our YouTubes. Hit that subscribe button. We do a lot of our fantasy content there, so make sure to check that out. TJ on TikTok said, I have Chris Olave, Devontae Smith, Adam Thielen, and Amari Cooper, and no running backs. My league won't trade. No advice. Just complain.
Oh,
okay.
Sorry, bro. I mean, your league sucks. You got a lot of guys at receiver. If you've tried to package them, I have a feeling that your league is nicer than what you say and that you're probably not offering them good trades. I don't know, man. Go up to somebody in your league and say, hey, if any of these guys are available, come at me. I need running back help. I'm sure you can work out a deal with somebody. That's just me being an optimist, but good luck, bro.
Good job, bro. X on Twitter says, X on TikTok, fuck me, said, I have Tyreek Hill, DJ Moore, AJ Brown, and Calvin Ridley. I only have Bijan Robinson. I need a running back. What should I do? So I actually think you're in a pretty good spot because you can get away with poor RB2 plays and pick up a Deontay Foreman on the waiver wire who it looks like right now Khalil Herbert's not going to be a go. You have Roshan Johnson who's there who might get the start but still injured. He clearing concussion protocol. Deontay Foreman, they gave him money. So he's someone that I could look to put in my RB2 spot. However, if I'm trading someone, I'm probably trading DJ Moore off of his big week, seeing if you could package him with someone and go get. I'm trying to think in the RB2 range that you could probably get someone.
Man,
Aaron Jones. Aaron Jones and Jonathan Taylor would be the two running backs because Tony Pollard's might take more. Tony Pollard and Aaron Jones and Jonathan Taylor are the two that really stick out for me in terms of being able to buy low and having their ceiling be a lot higher than what their value is currently. Let's see. Why aren't the Ravens using Zay Flowers? From Alex on YouTube. Why aren't the Ravens using Zay Flowers like we thought they would? He hasn't given me over 10 points all year. Look, the targets have been there. The touchdowns have not.
Facts.
He is due for it. Positive regression. It's coming.
Hey, I can confirm that that's actually a real term. No, Zay Flowers, like you said, the targets have been there. Bro, I don't know what you're talking about. Under 10 points. So he's at 17, 10, 13, 8, 12. He's been under 10 only 1 week. Bro, for a rookie wide receiver, that's pretty damn good. And it's going to go up. He had 2 big drops this past week. He's really in starting territory, at a flex. That. You're talking about him every single week. Should you start him? Should you not start him? Look, they played a pretty good, a divisional team in Pittsburgh who can play good defense. It has Mike Tomlin, and he still had his fair share of targets, 5 receptions, 73 yards, and that's including the 2 drops. So I'm not worried about Zay. He's doing all right, bro. Come on.
Yeah, me neither. Well, as a reminder, go to thegameday.com/promotions. If you want to bet on any of the DFS sites, make sure to go to thegameday.com/promotions. You'll find all the best ones. I guess we'll do one more question before we sign off.
Yep.
But as a reminder, also, we will be doing a start sit tonight on TikTok. So set your reminders, 5 p.m. Any start sit questions, I will help you out with that. Let's find one last question to really answer. Here we go. Here's a good one. Avi on TikTok says, I traded Alvin Kamara and Terry McLaurin for Puka and Madison. I just lost JJ and still have Breece Hall and Kenneth Walker. Yeah, I mean, I think Alvin Kamara is a really good sell high. I think he's like we've said earlier on, the running back position is kind of really far and few. I'm not really high on Terry McLaurin. I do like Puka Nacua a lot. I don't know Alexander Madison's value. But I do think in terms of looking at this, I'd rather Puka just rest of season. I think Kamara comes down a little bit when Kendra Miller's back, Jamal Williams is back. So yeah, I'm not mad about it because you have Breece Hall and Kenneth Walker.
End it there. That's fantastic, bro. What a phenomenal analysis.
I love it. All right.
Jesus Christ.
Hey, make sure to check out our predictions episode that will drop tomorrow on Caps Off. Make sure to hit the link in bio if you're on YouTube, or the full episode will drop on YouTube. So if you're on TikTok, make sure to go subscribe to the YouTube if you want to see the visual of why Felipe is picking actually the Chargers against the Cowboys. And then on the other hand, if you are listening to this, make sure to go to the YouTube and hit that subscribe button. But hey, we'll see you tomorrow for our predictions episode.
Yes, sir. Bye.